Hi, this is Lorene, and I've been guided to do another video. If you'll give me a second to clear, center, and balance my energy, we'll get started. Okay, so I've been guided to discuss 3 areas once again. The first area is just clarifying, or I feel giving a more concise explanation of that space in which the divine consciousness resides. The second area is Korean unification, and the third area is Akasha. It keeps coming through as Akasha, not Akashic records, but Akasha, okay? And so I'm going to start with this diagram I did. Where is it? I'm very visual, so everything comes through visually. A lot of stuff comes through visually or through claircognizance or clairsentience. But I just wanted to explain this. I drew what I was trying to explain. And I'll do a picture-in-picture also. But I explained that we have these 2 Fibonacci spirals that kind of come together and meet in the middle, but they don't touch, right? And within that space, in between that Fibonacci spiral on the top and the Fibonacci spiral on the bottom, as above, so below, we have this space, this open space. And so what I was trying to explain was this open space is that egg. So the metaphorical egg that I have discussed when I'm talking about how the divine consciousness, when it's starting to consider all the things it could possibly be, those possibilities reflect on the inside of that egg, right? So this place where this egg resides, where this space where the divine consciousness exists, and where it's considering all the things it could possibly be, that space is in between 0 point, okay? And it is, I have here the egg, mirror, and the void, because that void, that space, acts like a mirror. And as the divine consciousness awakens itself from that I am state and starts considering all the things it could possibly be, all those things start to reflect on the inside of that egg, or the outside of that void, or even maybe you could see it as a torus, okay? And so that void, that space, resides between 0 point, above and below. So think about this as above, so below. The top reflects the bottom. Not only is there a mirror reflection of all things around, but top and bottom, okay? So that above can represent the white, and below can represent the black, or we can have yin and yang, we could have yes and no, okay? So think about it as that physical representation of duality in those 2 Fibonacci spirals. And in the middle of that is that void, okay? And that's very much what's coming in right now. But what I was trying to say, as you can see here, let me see, I have this 0 point right here, and then this Fibonacci spiral, and this 0 point is where that particle of energy is vibrating at its slowest rate before it stops, okay? Same thing up here is that 0 point where that particle of energy is vibrating at its slowest point before it stops and the universe ceases to exist, okay? So we have these 2 mirror reflections of this these Fibonacci spirals. The Fibonacci spirals to me represent creation, manifestation, okay? So as this egg this space, this void, starts to consider all the things it can possibly be, these two Fibonacci spirals begin to manifest those possibilities. Okay? But that's what I was trying to explain. Okay, now I'm going to add another thing. As this divine consciousness begins to consider what it can possibly be, it's the force of intention to manifest this into reality that cracks that egg and begins to manifest those thoughts, those possibilities into reality. Okay, it's that force. And so if you want, you can consider that force of energy to be a vibration that becomes so strong that it cracks that egg. But to be quite honest, there are no particles of energy in the void, right? And so I really can't put it in terms of this reality where we are right now, but it is that force of intention that creates what's necessary to crack that egg and begin to manifest reality. So I just wanted to hopefully kind of make that discussion a little bit more concise and clear. Hopefully that's what I did. The next thing I wanted to talk about is Korean unification. And it's something completely outside of what I would normally talk about, but this message came in very, very strong and very, very clear after that last video, and it's been coming in every day since. And so one of the things I want to preface this discussion on is artists, whether they're conscious or not conscious of this, intuitively tap into the collective consciousness. They are intuitively tapped into that energy, whether they're conscious of it or not. And so when we see art, when we see literature, when we see any type of acting or an expression of art, whether it be through acting, literature, or painting or drawing. Also, I believe very strongly science is an expression of art. It's also an expression of someone's intuitive knowing. And I want to say Nikola Tesla was a very good example of that. I feel intuitively that much of what he received was divine guidance to help him discover and access and discover much of the inventions or concepts or mathematical revelations that he had. Okay, so I think it's really important to preface this discussion on Korea with that, or Korean unification. And this is why. So 3 years ago, 2021, somewhere around there, I just saw this show on Netflix, and I started watching it not realizing it was a Korean TV drama, and it was all about mysticism and magic, and it's completely down my alley. It was called Alchemy of Souls, and I was hooked. I was like, this is fabulous. I can't believe this. This is so good, right? I was totally invested. And I just started watching more Korean television or movies. But I watched a couple shows that cut me so deep, meaning they were so emotionally moving, like I was almost like moved into depression almost. And one of these shows I watched just really hurt me, like the ending, and it had a happy ending. And I'm like, there's a happy ending here. But the whole process of what it was, the story was a classic, if you want to say twin flame relationship. But I couldn't understand why something so not based in reality could move me so deeply. And as soon as I started having those thoughts and started wondering, I started getting these messages about how art, these artists, whether they're writers, painters, whatever, are really accessing the collective consciousness. They're accessing the emotional body of the collective consciousness. Okay, and so as I was watching all of these different Korean shows, I realized it wasn't even about the show. It was about, I was tapping into the collective consciousness of the Korean people. Okay, and so it was really traumatic. I'm going to say it's traumatic. I'm going to actually use that word. And I felt a lot of pain in my heart, a lot of sadness in my soul, and a lot of tears. But on the other side of that, I want to say there was an incredible amount of beauty, incredible amount of love and compassion. I was moved in so many ways by the profound emotional body of the Korean people and their openness to like just share the emotions they're going through in the moment, right? And although that's not always the case, I know there are other parts of this culture that are much more reserved. What I was experiencing was the trauma of the Korean people as a whole, but not just currently. I was going into like past 500 years, 1,000 years into their past. And so as I'm saying this, I'm reminded of a reading I did for a woman, and I asked her if she was Korean, and she said no, she was Japanese. She was from Japan, but the pain I was feeling in her emotional body, mirrored that of the Korean collective consciousness. And so I'm not going to go into that reading, but what I realized was I was receiving messages, lessons, information on Korea, China, and Japan, and to a lesser extent, Thailand and Taiwan. And what the vision that I kept having was like a Venn diagram where we have Japan on one side, China on the other side, and then where those two cross in the middle was Korea, and it kept on pulling like this. It kept on pulling, and so it looked like the Korean people were stuck in this vice, right? And they were just being pulled apart. And every time this energy tried to pull it apart, they just kind of would fight back and kind of hold it together. And so that was a vision explaining or talking to me about the profound struggle of this people who have been in the middle of these of Asia in general, but somehow, some way became like this. I don't know what the word I want to use, but they were just put in the middle and pulled from both sides by both this. I'm just going to say right and left, because I don't want to vilify Japan or China. I don't want to vilify them. Okay, this is the circumstance that we're in. This is how the world kind of evolved. Okay, and they, as far as land, where they were located geographically, became this interim space that both countries wanted to control to make themselves feel safer, right, in some way. And so they just got pulled apart, or they have been, these two places, people have been trying to pull them apart and gain control of that space, right, that represents Korea. So there was more information that came in, but I don't want to get too much into that. But it was really helped me understand, gave me a different perspective of what was going on in this part of the world. That being said, you know, there's suffering in Japan, there's suffering in China, right? There's suffering in the United States and Europe, and there has been for hundreds of years, right? So I don't want to say that any one country or people are suffering more than the other, but I am saying that this message came in very clear, and it was very clear that I needed to share it. I needed to share it because what has come in is that this country, Korea, will unify. It's a necessary part of transcendence. And the other thing that came in was that it's not a prediction. This is not a prediction. This is necessary and required for transcendence, and because it is, I'll say it's the will of the divine creator. Okay, so as I was speaking about in the beginning of this video, the divine creator considers all the things that could possibly be, and with that force of intention to manifest these things into reality, it cracks the egg, and all the things that this divine consciousness wants to manifest begin to manifest, or manifest in this universe. Okay, and one of those things that it is desiring to manifest is the unification of Korea, because it has been determined. It's like a benchmark. Let's call it a benchmark. When that happens, that's one identifier for our step forward towards transcendence, and that is the will of the divine creator. Okay? I also talked about, really quick, I also talked about how I manifest my reality, right? So I'm manifesting all the things that are happening here. There's possible realities, and there's the realities that I manifest, right? And the possible realities are all the things I consider. But the things I manifest are what truly come to pass, right? Same thing with the divine creator. It has all these things that it's considering, but there are things that it will manifest. And this is one of the things that will manifest, because it's not a prediction. And I think I need to touch on this, and I think I'm going to do a video after I do this video about all time is now. So all time is happening simultaneously. There is no past, present, or future. Okay? It's all happening simultaneously. And there are already things that are predestined to happen. There might be varying paths to get to these places, to these benchmarks. But there are certain things that have been determined by the divine consciousness to happen, to manifest. And this is one of those things. The unification of Korea is one of those things. It will manifest. It's not a prediction. It has manifested, because all time is happening right now. Right? There might be some nuances on how do we get there, but it will happen. And that is very, very clear. And it's come in so many times, and it's come in so strong that, and it's come in so strong that it'll happen, and it's come in very strong that I need to talk about it. And to a lesser extent, I understand what comes in intuitively also is the fear from South Korea and North Korea. What happens if someone from the North takes over all Korea? What happens if someone from the South takes over all Korea, right? All of Korea. Both sides are worried that the other side will take control. Then we take it out further. We have other countries, Western countries, United States versus Eastern countries, Russia, right? And China. What happens if Korea unifies? Whose side will it be on? Right? Will it be Eastern or Western? And that is at the root of the problem, or the reason why Korea will unify. Okay? I think I heard somewhere that Korea is the last Cold War, the last place where there's a Cold War occurring. These are all outdated paradigms. These are all outdated belief systems and structures. Okay? Right now, this planet is healing. And the message that comes in is What is it? South Korea needs the groundedness of the North Korean people, just the grounded nature of who they are, right? They're very grounded. They're still living a much more rudimentary lifestyle, and they're very grounded in what they do and how they do it, right? They're very grounded in the earth. That's the message that comes in really strong. As a people, I'm not talking politics. Okay? And then North Korea needs South Korea's resources, right? And so together, I think South Korea needs to be more grounded, and North Korea needs support with resources. And so in that, they will take care of each other. And that is what we need to do as a people on this earth. So they're a microcosm of the macrocosm. Okay, they're a microcosm of what's going to happen on this planet. And again, this has come in very, very strong all week. And it's not something there's certain things that I used to have a hard time talking about, and it used to take me like 6 months to put it on video, but not anymore. It came in super strong. I understand this might make people upset or uncomfortable, but we are changing globally, and it's not just about the United States, and it's not just about any one place. But this is going to manifest, and it's necessary for transcendence. It's a necessary part of transcendence, and nothing will stop it. Nothing will stop it. And I feel one of the reasons why I don't like to talk about this stuff is because I feel like once I put it out into the ether, once I start talking about it, because I don't have to tell you directly or somebody directly. Once it's tapped into the collective consciousness, people can receive that information and start responding to it and trying to block it, right? Stop it from happening. There's nothing that can be done to stop this. This is going to happen. And this message has been coming into me about this unification for at least a year. But only in the last week, since last Sunday, have I felt like I needed to actually say it. Okay? The third thing I want to talk about is, it keeps on coming in as Akasha, but we would know it as the Akashic records. And so this kind of comes in really good with talking about Korea. So when this information started coming in, like I said, I was cut pretty deeply by just watching TV shows, like in a way that wasn't rational for me. It didn't make sense that I was so emotionally moved or drawn or hurt or wounded by something that was a fictitious story, drama portrayed on TV. And then that message came in that I was tapping into the collective consciousness of the Korean people as a whole, that collective. So the Akashic records would be, when I first came into this community, this esoteric community, I didn't understand any of the language. I didn't know what angel numbers were. I didn't know what people meant by guides. I know what angels were because I was Catholic. I didn't know what a guide was. In Akashic records, heart center, these things made no sense to me. So I've since learned that the Akashic records are like the library of the universe, right? It has all the information of the universe in it. What was explained to me, I would say 4 or 5 years ago, around 2020, was that one particle of energy carries all the wisdom in the universe. It carries all information in the universe. That particle of energy at 0 point, vibrating at 0 point, carries all the information of the universe. It is an Akashic record. That's why, or the Akashic records, or Akasha, okay? That's why I can read someone's energy who's on the other side of the planet. I could read someone's energy on the other side of the universe, because every particle of energy carries the same information. It carries the whole of the universe in it, all the information of the universe, okay? So if you want to consider the Akashic records a library, Then libraries are filled with books. Each book carries its information. So there could be a library book just about me in my lifetime right here. Okay, there could be one book. There could be a book for every person on the planet. There could be a book for every grass on the planet. There could be a book for every tree on the planet or type of rock, right? There could be a book for each moment in time. There could be a book for the collective consciousness of Korea, or the collective consciousness of the United States, or the collective consciousness of China. There could be a book for every leader in the Western world, right? There could be a book for anything, right? So, and those books aren't even necessarily on the shelf. Okay, there's not just a book for me and every person on the planet, or every insect on the planet, or every flower on the planet, or every emotion on the planet, right? We create those books. So if I'm channeling, or someone's asking me for information on something, I can create that book by pulling down that information or accessing that information. Okay, so let's just say, I think this is a good example. If I'm doing a reading for someone, a lot of times I already get information. The second they reach out to me for a reading, I'm already getting information, right? So that information's coming in. So as that person reaches out to me for a reading, the book from the Akasha that has all the information that I need for that reading is already being formulated. Okay, the second that I make that call or I meet with that person, that book opens up and starts sharing with me all the information that I need to engage this person and help them however I'm meant to help them, right? So that's several different interpretations of the Akashic records, but essentially Akasha, or the Akashic records, is this place where all the information of this universe is located. Okay, and what's been shared with me is every particle of energy carries the Akasha, carries the Akashic records, carries all information about this universe, about divinity, about us. Everything is in each particle of energy. Okay, so to me, from my perspective, a particle of energy is the Akashic records, or Akasha. All right, so give me a second. I just want to look and see if there's anything I missed. No, I think that's it. I don't think there's anything else I can say. So thank you.